5, goblin shark. The goblin shark is perhaps the ugliest animal in the entire world. Not shaming, just stating facts. Also known as the living fossil, the goblin shark lives up to 1,300 feet deep inside the sea. What is terrifying about these creatures is that they can detach their whole mouth from their body in order to get their prey. How f***ing terrifying is that? They can grow up to 3.5 meters and love hunting teleost fish. They have flabby bodies with small fins with nail-like teeth and are quite different from other sharks as they are the strongest looking and, again, perhaps the ugliest sharks in the ocean. They have a pinkish appearance, sometimes red when they are old because blood vessels can be seen through its skin. The camouflage color of its skin helps it hide in plain sight, allowing it to catch prey undetected. They're very rarely seen in the deep oceans and were first seen on the coast of Japan in 1898 by naturalist Alan Alston. Now it is visible in all oceans, but mostly in Brazil, the Gulf of Mexico, France, Portugal, and Senegal. In at 4, fang-toothed fish. Fang-toothed fish are the deepest living fish ever found on Earth. They can survive 5,000 meters below sea level, which is absolutely crazy. The pressure at that level is 500 times than that of the land. Their teeth are in proportion to their body size, making them one of the scariest deep-sea creatures we have ever come across. Their eyes are situated on the top of their heads and comparatively smaller in size. Not only that, but they have scales on its skin which are shaped like plates, and their fins are small and spineless. They're a big fan of thriving in oceans with tropical and temperate temperature, and it can go as deep as 5,000 meters and hence one of the deepest living creatures in the entire world. Like me, it avoids sunlight and only goes to the ocean surface during the night. Same. Despite how it looks, it is in fact harmless to humans, so don't fret if you see one during a late night paddle. They are instead a big fan of squid and fish, and locate its prey by detecting chemical signatures of other fish varieties in the water. Coming in at 3, giant squid. This squid is giant, in case the name didn't give it away. They can grow up to 14 meters, which is the equivalent to the size of a 5-story building. Yep, terrifying. More terrifying still, they are so big they can eat small whales. Whales! The first ever image of a giant squid was taken by Japanese researchers in its natural habitat, and it's believed that many species of giant squid exist, but as per genetics research. The largest known squid species can be seen in all oceans. However, as of right now, they have only been discovered in the Gulf of Mexico, the Sea of Japan, the Pacific Ocean, Hawaii, the Southern Oceans, and California. Giant squid can grow up to 59 feet in length, making it one of the biggest animals on the entire planet. I hate this so much. While on the topic of appearance, the giant squid has a large head with 8 arms and 2 tentacles used for grabbing prey. Not only that, but it also has an incredibly strong jaw, similar to a parrot beak. The species are a big fan of eating other squid, fish, and shrimp, and according to different researchers, they can also attack and eat small whales, as previously stated. I hate them. In at 2, humpback anglerfish. Right off the bat, I hate anglerfish. I hate their stupid light bulb and their stupid teeth. And this dude is no different. Humpback anglerfish are perhaps the most terrifying deep sea creature you will ever come across, just because of how it looks. The species are grey to dark brown in colour and have a large head with a big crescent shaped mouth, full to the brim with sharp teeth, which are also translucent. What the f? They live up to 2,000 meters below the sea and use their light to see their prey, which is actually an antenna located on its head. They can swallow prey twice their size and use their bioluminescence that produces symbiotic bacteria when in the dark to attract them. Now, the humpback anglerfish is widely distributed in almost all oceans across the world, and more interesting still, the species have a lateral line that can sense the pressure and movements in the surrounding ocean. That's too much power for my liking. Finally, coming in at number 1, frilled shark. Frilled sharks are typically found thousands of feet below surface, and most commonly in the Suruga Bay area of Japan. They are very similar to sharks in the sense that they have very dangerous 3-pointed teeth. Known as the living fossil and mostly seen at Atlantic and Pacific Ocean, this guy is just straight up terrifying, and he loves eating bony fish. He has a flattened head and an incredibly large mouth with around 300 teeth arranged in 25 rows pointing in a backward direction. His body is elongated and is brown in colour. Now, typically sharks don't have a nictitating membrane, that is a thin but tough membrane considered as an eyelid that moves horizontally with the eyes. However, this shark has that, and uses it to protect its eyes during potentially dangerous situations. Not only that, but its skeleton also contains less calcium, likely because it lives so deep underwater, which is poor in nutrients. Coming in at 5, Kieran Crone. Kieran Crone was a large sea monster hailing from Scottish Gaelic folklore, which, according to an old saying, was so large it fed on 7 whales. seals. I quote, 7 herrings, a salmon's fill. 7 salmon, a seal's fill. 7 seals, a whale's fill. 7 whales, a Kieran Crone's fill. Oh man. Now, while its immense size poses a threat to humankind, it prefers to toy with its prey first. It hides its enormous figure by shrinking down to the size of a silverfish. Then when fishermen catch it in their nets, the monster transforms back into a gigantic beast and swallows the fisherman whole. Nasty. In at 4, Ninjin. The Ninjin is an Arctic humanoid life form that inhabits the icy waters of the Antarctic, and has reportedly been observed on a handful of occasions by crew members of whaling ships. The Ninjin are said to be completely white in colour with a length of around 20 to 30 meters. Crew members who have spotted the life form have described it as having a human-like shape, often with legs, arms, and even 5-fingered hands. So creepy. Now, the only visible facial features are the eyes and the mouth, and on one occasion crew members approached the creature, believing it to be a foreign submarine. However, they were wrong, and it quickly became apparent that it was non-man-made, and that it was alive. The creature disappeared relatively quickly, thankfully. Now, most of the sightings seem to occur at night, which makes the creature far more difficult to photograph. However, in pictures that have been taken, the ninja mostly just looks like ice, so their skin is said to be smooth, almost human-like. No believable pictures have ever been taken, perhaps because the ninja don't exist, or perhaps it's because of a larger cover-up by the government. What do you guys think though? Coming in at 3? Kraken. The Kraken is a legendary sea monster of massive proportions and is described as resembling a giant octopus or squid, and is said to be capable of enveloping entire ships in the grasp of its tentacles and dragging them beneath the depths of the cold, dark ocean. Now, the Kraken for years has been spoken of in tales told by sailors, as well as featured in various works of fiction since the 13th century, and continues to remain popular even today in works like Clash of the Titans. The Kraken is said to roam off the coast of Norway and Greenland and will attack and destroy any vessel that crosses its path. Now, since the late 18th century, the Kraken has been depicted in a variety of different ways. However, it's primarily drawn as a large octopus-like creature and has often been based on sailors' observations of a giant squid. Scarier still, the Kraken is also depicted to have spikes on its suckers. Yeah, that shit will f you up. In earlier depictions, the Kraken was more crab-like and far less intimidating than it is today. But the biggest takeaway? Steer clear of the ocean for very many reasons, but mostly steer clear of the Kraken. That's all I'm saying. Coming at 2, Hydra. Also known as Mother Hydra, this Lovecraftian monster is said to resemble a colossal deep one, and is an enormous humanoid creature with a fish-like face, flapping gills and Piscean skin. She forms the Holy Trinity with Father Dagon and Great Cthulhu himself. 3 entities are worshipped as gods by the aquatic race. Now, there is much debate as to whether Hydra is a great old one or if she is simply a massively overgrown deep one. Now, it should be noted that Hydra and Dagon were both entrusted by Cthulhu to be guardians of his daughter Cthulhu, a duty which they perform in one of the Deep One's mighty submarine cities beneath the North Atlantic. Pretty damn cool. And finally, coming in at number 1, Leviathan. Leviathan, not to be confused with the roller coaster at Canada's Wonderland, is a sea serpent monster of immense size and first appeared in Jewish belief, referenced in the Hebrew Bible in the Book of Job, the Book of Isaiah, and the Book of Amos. It is described as a primeval monster defeated by the god Hadad. And draws comparisons to dragon and world serpent narratives. Now, the Leviathan of the Middle Ages is a little different, and was used as an image of Satan, endangering both God's creatures and God's creation by threatening it with the waters of chaos. Leviathan is classified as one of the 7 princes of hell, and is the demon of envy. More interesting still, Leviathan represents the element of water. The element of water in Satanism is associated with life and creation, something that Leviathan seeks to destroy.
Number 5 on this list is the Loch Ness Monster. Nessie, as many people refer to this creature, is said to be a huge, long-necked, almost dinosaur-looking creature that lives in Scotland. This creature of the deep specifically resides in Loch Ness, a 37-kilometer loch located in the Scottish Highlands. The legend of this sea creature went worldwide back in 1933. A photo was released to the public showing a strange creature's head protruding from the water of Loch Ness. The world went into a frenzy after that photo got out and the legend of Nessie began. Ever since that point, many sightings have been reported, other pictures have been taken, and even sonar readings have indicated this creature swimming in the loch. All of that being said though, we've never had indisputable proof that Nessie's real. Well, I'm here to tell you that Nessie is real, but maybe not how you expect. New Zealand scientists have taken samples of the water in Loch Ness and have studied the DNA that they found in it. Professor Neil Gamel, a geneticist, is quoted saying, Well, our data doesn't reveal their size, but the sheer quantity of the material that says we can't discount the possibility that there may be giant eels in Loch Ness. Therefore, we can't discount the possibility that what people see and believe is the Loch Ness Monster might be a giant eel. So, the Loch Ness Monster, as we understand it, might not be real, but potentially this loch is full of giant eels that resemble all of the features that Nessie's reported as having. Maybe this is why we've had such a hard time proving this myth, because for years, people have been looking for the wrong thing. I really like the legend of the Loch Ness Monster and honestly want it to be true, but if it had to be giant eels, then I think I could accept that as well. Number 4 on this list is the USS Stein Monster. The USS Stein was a Knox-class destroyer ship in the United States Navy. The ship was eventually decommissioned from the American Navy and was transferred to the Mexican Navy in the 90s. That wasn't before it was attacked by a massive sea monster though. In 1978, the USS Stein was attacked by an unknown entity which we now refer to as the USS Stein Monster. This monster was said to have been a giant, with some people estimating its size up to 150 feet in length. The ship was sailing in the Pacific Ocean when it was attacked. Technical difficulties with the ship started going wrong and eventually they brought it back into the port. Upon inspection, the sonar system was completely damaged. There were cuts and gashes over 8% of the ship, with some of them being massively deep. They also found suction cups like those of a squid attached to the ship. After investigation of the suction cups and the gashes, it became clear that what they were attacked by isn't your standard animal. Even a giant squid would have had a hard time doing what the monster did to the ship. Ever since that point, the legend of the USS Stein Monster has grown. Obviously, this monster has to be real because it has actually attacked a ship. Sadly, we don't know a whole lot about it though. In truth, we know less about what's on the ocean floor than we do about the surface of the moon. So it's very possible that a creature we aren't familiar with yet is dwelling down there. Number 3 on this list is Megalodon. Would this list really be complete if I didn't include the ancient king of the sea? Eleanor Imster writes, scientists think that Megalodon looked like a stockier version of the great white shark, with strong, thick teeth built for grabbing prey and breaking bones. Regarded as one of the largest and most powerful predators who have ever lived, fossil remains of Megalodon suggest that this giant shark reached a length of about 60 feet. Their large jaws could exert a bite force up to 24,000 to 41,000 pounds. That is a massive, massive animal, guys. Multiple times bigger than the great white sharks we have today. This thing was so big that it would actually eat entire whales. Now, many myths have surrounded Megalodon and its existence since scientists first brought this mammoth of the sea up. Estimates say that Megalodon went extinct roughly 2.6 million years ago, but some people don't buy into that theory. For quite a while now, the legend of a giant shark still living amongst the ocean has had a lot of people wondering if it's possible. If Megalodon was still alive, is it possible that we still wouldn't know about it? How could we miss a creature this giant? How many of them would there be left in the waters? There are surely a lot of questions that come up if you believe Megalodon is still a reality. If this creature was still alive, then people think the Marianas Trench is where it's located, a place so deep and uncharted that it's hard for us to know for sure what's down there. I'm personally not convinced this creature still roams the ocean, but comment down below your thoughts. Is Megalodon still alive? What do you think? Number 2 on this list is the Kraken. The Kraken is one of the largest sea monsters that is said to exist. It all started in Nordic folklore many hundreds of years ago when sailors told tale of a massive beast that preys upon the waters of Norway, Greenland, and Iceland. This fearsome beast was said to pull entire ships to their doom and eat every human on board. The first account of the legend was in 1180 by the King of Norway at the time. Since then, sightings of the creature and lore surrounding its capabilities have grown through the years. Fiction writers and movie makers have also latched onto this creature and included it in many stories. As cool as it would be though, to our current knowledge, the Kraken itself isn't real. However, something similar to it definitely is. The giant squid. The giant squid is a massive squid that's said to be able to grow up to 13 meters in length. Sightings have even put this creature at 20 meters before, but those have never been proven. Even if 13 meters is the maximum length, that's still a large animal and something that would frighten anyone if you're seeing it for the first time. Many experts believe that the legend of the Kraken happened when Norwegian sailors stumbled upon this giant squid, and rather than name it a giant squid, they called it the Kraken. As time went on, the legend spiraled out of control until we got this massive sea monster which attacks boats. Now, even though that might be a bit far from the truth, could I believe that there was one giant squid that was potentially bigger than the rest? Absolutely I could. I could also believe that this giant squid might have attacked a ship or two in its time and maybe even brought one down. If it did do all of that, then there really wouldn't be any difference between this squid and the Kraken. Either way, if you see a massive sea creature with tentacles coming after you, I'd just swim the opposite direction. Number 1 on this list is the Hook Island sea monster. It was first spotted by Robert Le Sarec in 1964 off of Hook Island, and after he saw the monster, he went on to describe it in detail. He said, "It was only when we got to within 20 feet of the serpent that we could see its head clearly. The head was large, about 4 feet from top to bottom, with jaws about 4 feet wide. The lower jaw was flat like that of a sandfish. The skin was smooth but rather dull, brownish black in color. The eyes seemed pale green, almost white. The skin looked more like that of a shark than an eel. There were no apparent scales, nor did we see any parasites around. We supposed the flexible tail would have shaken any off. There were no fins or spines, nor were there any apparent breathing openings, although there must have been some. Perhaps we didn't see them because our attention was focused mainly on the creature's menacing mouth, the inside of which was whitish. The teeth appeared to be small. A fragment of some dark substance hung from the upper row of teeth, possibly a fish. As the monster was lying on the sandy bottom, we could not see the color of its belly. The creature was about 90 feet long. Behind the head, the body was about 2 feet 4 inches thick and remained that way for about 25 feet. Then it gradually tapered into a whip-like tail. The general color of the body was black with 1 foot wide brownish rings every 5 feet, the first starting just behind the head. The skin was smooth but dull. So that's his description, and after he and his family saw it, he took some pictures of the creature to prove his claims. We have to remember that these pictures were taken in 1964 and doctoring them would have been far more difficult back then than it is today. I also tend to believe this claim more than most based on the level of detail he described the beast. Obviously it was a pretty jarring experience if he was able to describe the creature in that much detail. Since the claims, people have researched Hook Island for this monster, but with no luck. Hopefully one day we can spot this monster again and know for certain that it truly exists. Number 5 on this list is Sinkhole Sam. The legend of Sinkhole Sam originated many years ago in Kansas. Sinkhole Sam is said to live in Inman Lake, or as the locals call it, the Sinkhole. It's believed to be a 15-foot long serpent-like creature that is as round, and I quote, as an automobile tire. The people who claim that this serpent was 15 feet and round like an automobile tire are Albert Newfield and George Rager, 2 witnesses of the beast. These men are some of the many people who have stumbled upon this creature and have spoken out about it. Based on the reports, people believe that Sinkhole Sam is a type of prehistoric serpent that has managed to survive over the years. Now, back before Kansas was even colonized, there were lakes and rivers all over the terrain, making it a perfect spot for an animal like this to survive. As time went on, the area dried up and locals believe that Sinkhole Sam took up residence in Inman Lake. As the years have passed though, the sightings of Sam at Inman Lake have been fewer and farther between. However, the sightings of a similar creature at the Kingman State Lake have grown. This lake isn't too far from Inman Lake either, only 50 miles. 50 miles is certainly a long distance to go, but maybe not for a massive serpent like Sam. Sinkhole Sam, in my opinion, is one of the most likely creatures to actually exist. Unlike other sea beasts that are very far from any living animals that we have in our world, Sinkhole Sam, from most accounts, is just a big snake. I think it's super possible that someone has spotted a massive snake over the years in that lake, and through word of mouth, the story has been exaggerated over the time to become the legend of Sinkhole Sam. Now, if Sam is real, then we should all be in the clear, because even though a 15-foot serpent may be terrifying, there have been no reported attacks from Sinkhole Sam on humans since the legend began. Number 4 on this list is Leviathan Melville. This ancient beast is aptly named after the Leviathan due to its incredible size. This is a monstrous whale that grew from 45 feet to 60 feet in length. It has the largest teeth from any animal used to eat the world has ever seen, reaching a length of 1.18 feet. Their heads were 10 feet long and their jaws were absolutely massive. Similar to Megalodon, these creatures are long extinct and lived roughly 12 million years ago. Also similarly to Megalodon, they had the exact same diet as the massive shark, whales. That's right guys, this massive whale ate other smaller whales. Also, because it was competing for the same food source as Megalodon, it's not unrealistic to think that those two creatures would have fought several times. And before I go any further about this beast, comment down below who you have in a fight, Megalodon or this Leviathan of whales. I want to know who you guys got. Anyways, over the years we've seen many legends about massive whales that were extremely aggressive. Moby Dick is one of the most famous stories of all time and features a massive whale. This creature, however, would have put Moby Dick to shame and potentially would have even had it for lunch. Also, after it was finished eating Moby Dick, it would have happily eaten Captain Ahab and completely demolished his whaling ship. A lot of other entries on this list have had some reported sightings and witnesses, but this one we have real fossils to prove its actual existence. I've personally always been a fan of whales. In fact, an orca whale is my favorite animal in the whole world, but making an orca whale 60 feet with massive teeth is what we have here, and that might be a bit too much for me if I'm being honest. Number 3 on this list is Ninjin. Ninjin are very strange mythical creatures that have only come into the limelight very recently. The rumors and legends of these creatures have largely taken place in Japan. Japanese whale research boats that are sent to the Arctic waters have reported seeing these massive 20 to 30 meter long creatures that are completely white swimming through the ocean. Now when I first heard that, I thought that these things might just be big whales, but their shape is unlike anything that we've ever seen before. These creatures are said to look almost human, with witnesses saying that they saw massive legs and arms coming from the beast. They also have eyes and a mouth, but not many other facial features from the reports. For just over the last decade, stories about Ninjin in the Antarctic waters have circulated throughout Japan. One of the most famous was when crew members on the deck of a ship saw what they thought was a submarine in the distance, but when they approached it, realized the creature was alive and watched as it dived quickly underwater. There are some photos that have surfaced on the internet, but nothing that can fully substantiate the claims of this creature's existence. It is also currently unknown if there's only one of these creatures or if there are several of them swimming around the seas. This beast, unlike some of the other creatures that we've talked about, is not just a bigger version of an already existing animal. It isn't just a big snake or a big shark, it's a completely different entity entirely. This makes me think that it would be harder for somebody to confuse a big whale with a creature like this, because a whale doesn't look anything like a Ninjin. Hopefully more sightings and evidence can come to light soon, and we can get a definitive confirmation if this thing is real or not. Number 2 on this list is the Oklahoma octopus. This mythical octopus is said to inhabit some of the bigger lakes in Oklahoma, like Lake Thunderbird, Oolaka Lake, and Lake 10 Killer. The sightings indicate that this is a very large, aggressive octopus that we wouldn't want to mess with. Many deaths in these lakes have been linked to this octopus, or octopi if there are multiple of them. What's very strange about this creature, and what makes a lot of people skeptical, is that typically octopi don't live in freshwater areas. They're capable of doing it for a short time, but they never live there for extended periods. That being said, there have still been multiple sightings and reports of this creature living in these lakes. It's said to be the size of a horse and has a reddish brownish skin tone to it. It eats what any other octopus would eat, but has a tendency to kill humans in its area. The reasoning behind this is unknown though, because it doesn't actually eat the humans, but only drowns them. Potentially the octopus feels threatened by humans swimming in its water and is very territorial. There's no physical evidence proving the existence of this creature, but the rate of drownings in these 3 lakes that I mentioned earlier, they're far higher than anywhere else in the area. That statistic, along with the numerous sightings from fishermen and swimmers, have locals believing in the legend of the Oklahoma octopus. Number 1 on this list is Organism 46B. Organism 46B is believed to be a massive 33-foot long squid-like creature that was said to have 14 different tentacles. This thing lived in Vostok Lake, which is a subglacial lake located under 2 entire miles of ice. This creature has the ability to animate its legs after they've been amputated, it's capable of shape-shifting, it's extremely intelligent and also extremely hostile, and it has the ability to immobilize its prey with a toxin that it could spray up to 150 feet. We've only actually known about this creature for a few years. Although the Russians initially established an Antarctic base on top of Vostok Lake in 1957, they actually weren't aware that there was a lake beneath them until 1974, and then they weren't able to get to the lake until 2012. It was only after that that they discovered Organism 46b. After they drilled all the way through the ice and got to a point where they could send divers down there, they discovered this creature. Sadly, the discovery was a deadly one though. Dr. Anton Padalka, a researcher at the site, is quoted saying he tread water wearing a blissful smile as the organism approached him. We watched helplessly as it used its arms to tear off its head, then popped its remains in its mouth. It was as if it had hypnotized him telepathically. This ability to completely lull its prey into a sense of calm is apparently what this creature's venomous spray is capable of doing to people. Padalka had some more interactions with this beast, but it didn't take long before the Russian government came into the mix and sent a specialized team into Vostok Lake to extract the organism. The fact that any of this news even made it to the public is pretty marvelous, considering the Russian government wanted to keep it under wraps as much as they could. Hopefully there aren't any more of these dangerous beasts lurking in the subglacial waters waiting to strike.